everyone, it's Moose and thank you so much for joining me back here. Today I figured we would do a recent reads video. I have kind of stopped doing wrap-ups, monthly wrap-ups, and the last time I did a recent reads video was kind of towards the beginning of the year. So this is going to be my recent reads for like the middle of 2020, the second third of 2020, however you want to put it. So I'm going to be looking at my Goodreads because I have a terrible memory. I did look back at my last video. The last book I mentioned was The Handmaid's Tale and The Chronicles of Narnia. So within that, I did finish the first book of The Chronicles of Narnia and The Magician's Nephew, and it was really good. So far, I think it might be my favorite within The Chronicles of Narnia. And it didn't even have anything to do with like Susan and Peter and Edmund and Lucy. So that's kind of weird to me a little bit, but I did really enjoy that one. I did also finish all of the series of Unfortunate Events. Just going through them, number 4 was The Miserable Meal, number 5 was The Austere Academy, number 6 was The Ersatz Elevator, number 7 was The Vile Village, number 8 was The Hostile Hospital, number 9 was The Carnivorous Carnival, number 10 was The Slippery Slope, 11 was The Grim Grotto, 12 was The Penultimate Peril, and then 13 was The End. Out of them, I really liked The End. I didn't remember hardly anything from it. I read the series back in middle school, I think. So yeah, I had barely remembered anything from it. And I found The End interesting. So yeah, that one was probably my favorite. So yeah, I read through all of those. I listened to them on Scribd. I found it was really easy and really quick. The narrator did a good job with them. I found them enjoyable as audiobooks. Whoo, buddy. Where'd I go? I disappeared. Along with that, I also read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which is the second book in the Chronicles of Narnia. I enjoyed that one, but like I say, I enjoyed the first one more. I enjoyed The Magician's Nephew more. I also reread Twilight. I reread the whole series, but I'll go through that. You know, I'm saying them as I read them. So next I read Twilight, and okay, I did a whole reading vlog on all of the series, so I'm not going to get into too much detail. But my reread of this one, I found this one probably my least favorite of the series this time. I know New Moon is usually people's least favorite, but this one was probably my least favorite during my reread. I then read New Moon, which was one of my favorites this time. Again, that's kind of weird. Most people don't prefer this one, but I enjoy Jacob's character a lot more this time around, so I really enjoyed this one. Then I read Eclipse. Again, I enjoyed it. I might enjoy New Moon more, though. Like I say, I have reading vlogs on all of these, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. Then I listened to Sorcery of Thorns on Scribd by Margaret Rogerson. This is the same author that wrote An Enchantment of Ravens, which was kind of my introduction to fae novels. So I enjoyed that book when I read it. Looking back, the ending was disappointing, but I did really enjoy that book for what it was. This one though, again, I felt was kind of lackluster, maybe. A lot of people on BookTube kind of rant and raved about this book. They really enjoyed it. And I didn't necessarily not enjoy it, but it wasn't my most favorite. I don't know, I felt like, what was his name? Nathaniel? I don't know, the romance within the book wasn't my most favorite. I don't know, I wasn't against it at all. Like, I think it's a good pair. I just wasn't that interested in it, if I'm being honest, so I don't know. I feel this book is the one that really made me realize that maybe my tastes are changing a little bit. I feel like I'm kind of getting out of YA and more into adult. But I don't know, maybe it was just, you know, not for me. I don't know. I enjoyed it, not my most favorite. Then I read, alongside of this, because I was listening to that on audiobook, and then I usually have a physical book that I'm reading as well. I was reading Breaking Dawn. Again, I have a reading vlog if you really want to know, but I enjoyed it. The whole reason for me rereading the Twilight series was to get to Midnight Sun, which we'll get to in a minute. Oh goodness. Is it gonna go down? I also tried listening to A Crown of Feathers, which is another YA novel. I had to DNF this one, not because I didn't enjoy it. I thought the premise was very interesting, but there are so many characters and the perspective is constantly changing, and I just found myself getting a little lost. This is one I would be interested in actually reading in physical format maybe. The audiobook just did not work for me. I also read Catching Fire, which is my favorite book in the Hunger Games series. Ethan and I have been reading through the Hunger Games series, trilogy, however you want to put it, well, for what feels like all year. But we really wanted to finish before he left for a couple of months. Anyways, we really wanted to finish before he left, so we did. And Catching Fire is my favorite. It is still my favorite, even with this reread. I really enjoyed it. And then we also read Mockingjay. Listen, this series made me a lot sadder than I remember it making me in the past. And especially watching through the movies, because as we read the books, we were also watching the movies along with it. So yeah, overall, I was just kind of sad reading through the series, but also very happy because it is one of my favorite series to reread through. And I had been wanting to reread through it for a while now, probably all year. I've been wanting to reread it, which this year is the year of rereads for me. I have definitely noticed that, so it was good. I enjoyed it. Then I also read The Horse and His Boy, which is the next book in the Chronicles of Narnia. This one was probably my least favorite. In the grand scheme of things, I really don't know how it fits in to the rest of the books. You know, the first one kind of sets up how Narnia came to be. It explains what happened, how it was created. Then you get, you know, Susan and Peter, you know, the 4 kids and kind of their story. And then it just jumps to a completely different set of characters, completely different story. And then the one I'm reading now, it jumps back to the 4 kids. So I don't really understand where it fit in. It wasn't bad, but I definitely did not find myself wanting to pick it up the way I had the other 2 books and the one that I'm reading now. So then I read Midnight Sun. Listen, all right, this is my most anticipated release of the year. Oh, and I am so happy to have read it. I'm never gonna make it through this video. I'm almost done. This was, I live, all right. I was living the whole time I was reading through this book. I enjoyed it so much more than Twilight, all right. This story from Edward's perspective, I feel like you just get so much more from Edward's perspective. Gosh. Listen, we're just gonna go with the brightness for now, okay? I feel like you just get so much more from Edward's perspective since he, you know, obviously has a different side of the story, and since he can read people's minds, you just get details that you don't get within the first book, within the actual Twilight. It was so good. I have a whole vlog dedicated to it to where I just praise it. Yeah, it was good. Everything I hoped it would be. I would read the whole series through Edward's perspective if she would write it. Just saying. I found his version of the story so much more interesting. And there's a lot more details in it, so I feel like you get a better rounded story. I mentioned this in my vlog, but the next time I read through this series, because I do every couple of years, I'm going to read Midnight Sun instead of Twilight for the first book. I enjoyed it that much more. And then this week, I finished, we're up to very recently, this week I finished The Testaments, which is the second book in the Handmaid's Tale series. And it was really good. I did enjoy the first book more, The Handmaid's Tale. But this one was really good. It gave you more insight into the world. This one comes after The Handmaid's Tale and kind of explains years afterwards. It also explains more in detail kind of how the tyrannical system works as far as like the commanders and the aunts and stuff go. It's really focused more so on the aunts in this one. Whereas, you know, The Handmaid's Tale is focused on the handmaids. I'm not going to spoil it, but it was really good. And I will say that there's like an afterwards that kind of talks about Gilead in like a past tense. So, oh my goodness. I don't have this problem in Georgia. We don't get clouds that often in Georgia. West Virginia is a different story. I'm disappearing as I'm talking. So those are my recent reads, you know, from my last video to now. But I know it doesn't sound like a lot because I kind of just lumped all of the series of unfortunate events all into one. That's a lot of books, right? There's like 13 books in the series. So, you know, I do feel like I've read a lot more than what I've talked about. As for what I am currently reading, my physical read right now is Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. This is an adult fantasy novel. I don't know much about it. My friend Jeff recommended this to me. He really enjoyed it when he read through it. What I do know about it, there's a bunch of, you know, I don't want to say mythological creatures, but at the same time, yes. And then there's this band of like mercenaries, and something happens to where they all kind of regroup together. They used to be a band of mercenaries. They split up, and then now they're getting back together to go on this quest. I'm only on chapter 4, 25 pages in, so I'm not that far into it. What I am reading, I enjoy. But again, it's an adult novel. There's language in here. That's really the only thing I've noticed so far is the language, but I don't know. I'll keep you updated on it. I'm also reading Prince Caspian, which is the next book in the Chronicles of Narnia. And again, like I mentioned before, we are back with, Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy. I'm not very far into this book right now, but I am enjoying it more than the one before, the Boy and His Horse, or whatever it's called. And lastly, I am listening to Phantom of the Opera. Ethan asked me to read this book because he enjoyed it. He thought I would enjoy it. I am listening to it on Scribd. I am almost finished. How long do I have left? I'm listening to it on 1.5. I tried listening to it on a 2. It's usually what I listen. I couldn't grasp anything that was happening. I had to restart the whole book over on a 1.5. So it says I have about 2.5 hours left. So probably more like 2. I'm enjoying it so far. Not what I expected, but I'm still enjoying it. And that is what I'm currently reading right now. So yeah, those are my recent reads. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to do my outro. Just let me do it. So yeah, those are my recent reads, the middle half of 2020. Looking at my Goodreads, I feel like I've read a lot more than what I talked about here on this video. Again, though, I think most of that comes down to I kind of lumped all of the series of unfortunate events into one little category. Because I feel like that has been a lot of what I've been reading throughout this year. Like I say, this has been the year of rereads for me. I have read the series of unfortunate events before. I've read Twilight before. I've read the Hunger Games before. But all the same, I have really enjoyed myself. I don't really plan on rereading anything I've read before. That's not true. That's not true. Let me take a step back. I brought Becca Cooper with me by Tamora Pierce. It's a trilogy. I read that in middle school, and I did bring it with me to read while Ethan is away. So I do have one more reread on my list for this year. However, I barely remember anything from that series other than I enjoyed it. So we'll see how that goes when I get to it. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to subscribe down below and leave a comment. Let me know if you've read any of these. Let me know what else I need to read this year. But my baby's awake, so I'm gonna go get him. You guys are awesome. I am thankful for you, and we'll meet back here next time. See ya!